Sit cross-legged, back on the heels, however way works for you. Always taking these first few moments to just settle in. Welcome your breath, your body, your mind to this practice of yoga. Breathe in and out of the belly, breathe in and out of the nose as much as works for you. Especially if the mind starts to drift or a pose becomes boring or difficult, draw back to the breath for some inspiration. Nod your chin down to the chest, rock the right ear over towards the right shoulder, walk the opposite hand out, fingertips to the floor. Just that much today. Bring the hand back in, chin to chest, left ear to left shoulder, opposite hand, fingertips out to the side. And then bring both hands back in, chin down to the chest. And gently lift the head and open your eyes. So we're going to start with the strap. Stand up. So again, scarf, towel, belt, yoga strap, whatever you find that you can hold on to each end. And I've got my arms pretty wide here. And then I'm going to bend both elbows. Stand like you're in mountain pose with your feet at least hip distance apart. And simply lift the strap up towards the sky. And then try to go all the way down to your hips. Once it reaches back behind you, again, little bend behind the knees. I'm actually using a little bit of that steadying in the legs to help you bring it back around to the front. And if you realize that you can bring your hands in a little bit more narrow, do that. And keep going up and back here a few times. And go slow, especially when you get to that little creak at the top of the shoulder line where it feels like you won't make it. Give it an extra breath, stay with it, and then go all the way down. And try to keep your arms as even as possible here, so we're not going one side, then the other. Everything goes together. If you like this and ever want to get really intense with it, you can hold on to like a broomstick or a golf club that won't move or bend at all. And you might have a whole second appreciation for the movement. Cool. I want you to stay at that sticky point in the upper back. And then take your right arm a little higher, left arm a little higher. Don't be too rigid with this, just back and forth a little bit. Nice bend in the elbows and knees, always good for us so that we're not hyperextending through any of the joints. And then all the way down and up and around. Always a nice little way to start the day. Set that aside. Come up to the front end of your yoga mat. And lift both arms up. Exhale, fold over, touch the ground. Inhale, half lift, extend from the hips out to the crown of the head. Step back to plank. Lower flat down to your yoga mat. Little baby cobra, press down just a little bit into your hands and feet. A little bit meaning maybe you're pushing 20% of what you could do. Little baby lift. And then push back to child's pose, hips to the heels. Walk both hands over towards the right side. Enjoy the reach from left fingertips back to the left hip. Walk the hands across the center over to the second side. And then bring it back into the middle. Come up to all fours. Cat and cow. And from cat and cow, stretch to downward facing dog. So a little longer stride, hands a little more forward. Lift the hips. Pedal it out here, bend the knees, shift from side to side. Shake out the head. I invite you to continue always with a little bit of inward movement, even if it feels like a still pose today, so that if you took a snapshot at any point, it would always be ever bit blurry. Okay, walk your hands backwards to your feet. And then stand all the way up. Lift the arms to the sky. Bend the knees, sit into the thighs. Utkatasana, chair sit. Take this into a twist. Left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Press the palms in. Look towards your right side, maybe even up to the sky. Untwist, forward fold, so fingertips down to the ground, then make your legs a little straighter. And again, inhale, stand up, arms to the sky. Exhale, bend the knees, sit into the thighs, chair pose. Palms together, right elbow to the outside of the left knee. And untwist, forward fold. Walk the hands forward to downward facing dog. Lift the right leg up into the air, three-legged dog. Pull the knee in towards the nose, hover forward, plank. And then go up and back. Right knee to the right elbow, hover forward, so out to the side. And then up and back. Tap into your core strength. We do it one more time. Right knee towards the left elbow, so underneath twist. Up and back. Step it all the way forward into your lunge. Keep stepping. Have the feet still hip distance apart. Lift the right arm up to the sky. Down dog lunge. Take the hand to the inside of the foot. Spin the back heel down. Walk the hands towards that long edge of the mat or as high as up to the left corner. You don't need any weight on the hands, just sort of barely touching down. Keep the weight in the legs. Movement in the breath, maybe a little outward movement in the body as well. Okay, walk all this back into your low lunge and step backwards, downward facing dog. Let's try it on the second side. Lift the left leg up and back, three-legged dog. Knee into the nose, so right down the center line as you come hover forward. This can always be done with the bottom knee down instead of up. Three-legged dog. Take it out to the side, left knee towards the left elbow, so kind of like from all fours is a great modification here. Dog pose if it works still though. Left knee towards the right elbow and up and back. And then you step it all the way through to find your lunge. I say keep stepping in terms of like, don't be settled with what happens on the first step. Keep working. Left arm up to the sky, the twist. And lower the left hand to the inside of the foot. Spin the right heel down, the back heel. Walk your hands out for that down dog lunge. This time as you walk the hands back in and lift up your back heel, step forward to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Stand, reach the arms up to the sky. Palms together, center of the chest. Take in a couple of breaths. This month, everything we're doing has a little bit of an extra focus on the hips. Even as today is about Cobra pose and upper back. Working in the way that yoga does. Sometimes when you work the major joints above, it can help out what's below. So upper back and shoulders to make us feel good in the hips, down to the knees and ankles. Okay, inhale, lift the arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Step back to plank. Lower flat down to the yoga mat. Reach the hands back, turn the palms up towards the sky. Lift everything up. And lower it down. Press back to child's pose again. Come up to all fours. And then thread the right arm under the left for shoulder, ear, side of the face down. Take your free arm up to the sky. And then maybe even drop it behind the opposite hip. Okay, walk the left hand back beside your face. Use it to help you up to all fours. Settle, take a breath there. And then we'll switch sides. Left arm under the right. Shoulder, ear, side of the face down. Free arm up. Bend at the elbow, drop it behind the opposite hip, if that feels right. Okay, right hand back beside your face. Use it to help you up to all fours. Again to downward facing dog. Right leg high. Step forward to your lunge. And then come up to a high lunge. Arms to the sky. We've already done the twist from chair pose. We're going to add it in here. Hinge forward. Bring the palms together. Take the left elbow, again, to the outside of the right thigh. Whether that's all the way locked down, or if you need a little more space, it feels better to have a little more space, you can stay lifted. Great variation with more stability is left knee down here. And then untwist. Come back up to high lunge. Arms to the sky. Hold on to the left wrist and reach over to the right side so that it kind of squishes down the right ribs, but lengthens and gives space along the left side of the torso and down into the left hip flexor. Okay, release, hands down to the mat. Step back to plank. Lower to the mat. Again, that baby cobra, just like 20% of what we could do. Nice little squeeze in the glutes so the legs are firm, low back feels good. And then give a little more pressure into the hands. So maybe you go towards like 40% of height. Keep shoulders not into the ears, but pulled backwards. Okay, lower it all the way down, down dog. So we can get to our second side. Left leg up. Step it through. Find high lunge. Imperative to keep those feet hip distance apart. If they get too narrow, it certainly is going to make the next ask even harder on balance. So we're going to add in the twist, hinge forward, so butt goes up and back, hands forward, and then palms together. And tack the right elbow to the outside of the left leg. And that sense of wanting to find constant movement, just a little blur through every picture today. Don't be settled in one spot. Keep making little adjustments. And that way, yoga really does ask us constantly to stay hyper focused and aware. Sometimes that's annoying, I know. Okay, untwist, come upright, arms to the sky. Hold on to the right wrist and reach over to the left side. Again, there's a little crunch down on the left ribs, like they kind of collapse towards each other in a good way as we lengthen out through the right side. Okay, 2 hands back down. Step back to plank. Lower it. Go to that 40% cobra. Shoulders up and back. Elbows into the side. Push through your thumb, your first finger, strong in the legs. So we kind of feel all of those measures, making it doable. And then child's pose. Okay, sit back on your heels, so bring the torso upright. I'm going to kneel. You can sit or kneel, doesn't matter. Interlace the hands, flip the palms, and push through. Got it. And then can the arms go even a little bit further back than what you first thought to do? If that lifts your chest a whole lot, let it lift. And then keep as much lift as you can as you knit the upper ribs back down towards the belly. You end back towards a neutral spine. Release the bind. Shake out the arms a little bit. Down dog. Always so many good things about downward facing dog pose. For today, bend the knees a little bit more so that you can really get into the focus of down dog and the strength of the shoulders and upper back. Bend the knees, set the belly towards your thighs, and push the hands down and forward so that you feel the activation along the upper back. And then try to keep as much of that as possible as you straighten the legs, thighs more back, heels more down. And lower your knees to the mat now. So that same sort of feeling of activation of the shoulder blades moving closer in towards each other on the back, but we're going to do it from down on the forearms. You can definitely clasp the hands here or keep them open so that the center of the wrist are straight back to the line of the elbow. Elbows over the line of the shoulder. I often will put a block in between my hands to make that work as well. Okay, so we've set up on our forearms. And then like the heart is moving closer to the ground, sort of depress. Try that a couple of times. I sometimes say it's like flossing the shoulder blades here. You squeeze tips of the shoulder blades in. And then you try to open them away from one another. Trapezius, rhomboids, getting involved with the lats. Squeeze in. Open it back up. And then you want to keep some squeeze of the tips of the shoulder blades moving towards each other, even as the tops of the shoulders are moving away. Might be more of a thought, a frame of mind. And then tuck the toes and lift for dolphin pose. So dolphin pose is just like downward facing dog, but we're on our forearms instead of on the hands. So a little relief in hands, wrist, but a lot of work in opening upper back, shoulders. Try to have your head off of the ground here, so you want to press down into the forearms enough. Only walk the feet in to the degree that that works. Butt straight up towards the sky. We do this for one more breath. And then lower the knees down. Bring it back up to the hands, off of the forearms. And it might feel quite nice to stretch into dog pose from there. Remember, a little broad in the tops of the shoulders, and you're using mostly tips of the shoulder blades to squeeze in. Okay, let's go back into the legs. Let's start with the left leg high this time. Left leg up, three-legged dog. Step all the way forward into your lunge. And then warrior two. Spin the back heel down. Rise up, arms to either direction. Gaze out over the front fingertips. Side angle pose. Set the elbow down to the knee and just go elbow to knee. Don't try to go further. Instead of top arm up and overhead, send it out in front of you. Grab hold of one of your favorite things in your hands and pull in. I always think of like shoveling cookie in. So that that top shoulder pulls nice and snug onto the back, and then keeping that, extend the right arm, palm down overhead. Again, work the pose. Can have a little bit of breathing and movement room here for a couple of breaths. Very nicely done. Take the right arm back out. Let the shoulder come off the back, if you will. And the hand goes down to the ground. Lift the back heel and go back into a twisted lunge. Right hand down, left arm up. Two hands to the ground, step it all the way backwards, downward facing dog. Come forward to plank pose. Lie down onto the mat. Okay, this time take the hands off of the mat, wider than the mat, just fingertips, and point the elbows up to the sky. Always think of like little spider arms here. Spider limbs, perhaps. Press down into the fingertips and lift the chest just like you do in Cobra, but now you have a wider base to work with. And let the left shoulder drop a little forward as you look over your right shoulder. And then lift back up. Drop the right shoulder a little forward, look over the left. And back up. Descend all the way down. And all the way back up. Lift, lift, lift. Full Cobra there with hands wide. As you lower through, carefully make your way to downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, lift the right leg up, three-legged dog. And step forward to your lunge. Warrior two, the second side, so spin the back heel down. Come on up, arms in either direction. Same gig here, go elbow to the knee, and then left arm out in front of you so you're looking at it. Reach out, grab hold of something that you strongly desire in this moment, and then pull it into you. Squeeze the head of the shoulder onto your back. Keeping that, extend the left arm overhead. So for me, this feels like less of an extension on the top side because I'm staying so engaged. Squeeze the shoulder blades. Couple more breaths. Nice work. Lower it down. Switch to your twisted lunge. So you pick up the left heel. Left fingertips are down. Right arm up. And then lower the right hand down. Step back to plank. Lower down to the mat. Take that wide Cobra one more time. Fingertips outside of the mat, elbows pointed up to the sky, away from the body, and lift. Now staying lifted, look over your right shoulder. Cross the center, look over your left shoulder. Cross the center, nice and lifted in the middle. And roll it down. Push back to child's pose. Giving ourselves lots of extension, lots of folding in through the length of the spine today. Okay, let's add in one more round of standing work. So back to downward facing dog. Again, start left leg high, left leg lift, three-legged dog. Step it all the way forward to your low lunge. Triangle pose, good old triangle. Spin the back heel down. I like to turn the back toes just slightly forward towards the front foot so that the right thigh right now is a little bit in the direction of the front line, just making this pose more accessible. Straighten the left leg, lift the left hand higher onto the shin so that you can lift the right arm all the way up, turn the torso open, triangle pose. Again, move, change, try the hand in different places. Try the leg a little more bent or a little more straight. Find your way, a couple more breaths. And then look down again at the left foot. Take the right hand down and switch to a twisted triangle. So the right leg comes in, you turn the toes in even more. 2 flat feet to the ground. And then work to straighten the left leg. As you do that, lift the left arm up to the sky. Right hand can be along the shin. I've even got my left hand at a wall because it's handy for me. Continually asking, exploring what's going to work. The demands on breath, body, mind in the practice today. Walk it all the way back to a plank. Flat down to the mat. Okay, can you go 60% of Cobra here? Hands stay flat, fingers turn straight ahead, push into the thumbs, squeeze the elbows into the sides, still some bend in the elbows. Top of the thighs certainly down to the mat. Pelvis starting to get a little bit lifted. What about 80%? And it's your 80%. Like, what does that look like? It's still giving you some space. You're not at the edge. As you lower down, press back to child's pose. Give it a couple of breaths. In general, I like to stay in that 60 to 80% range through most of the postures, most of the practice. There might be 1 or 2 that you ask a little more of yourself, and a whole lot that you ask a little less. Okay, downward facing dog. It's all okay. Let those fluctuations and blurs happen. Right leg up and back, 3-legged dog. Step it forward into your lunge. Good. Remember, triangle poses here first. Spin the back heel down, but with the toes turned 30% in, something like that. You get to choose, is your right hand on the inside, the outside, a block, a leg. Straighten the right leg. Open across the hips, the torso, the shoulders. Look up, left arm high. Where's your breath? Revolve triangle pose. Look down at your right foot, bend the right knee. Hop it in a slightly shorter stance. Back toes turn in now a good 70 degrees. Again, left hand, big toe side, pinky toe side, a little lifted. Right hand out to the side, up to the sky. If you're looking for more stability, have that bottom hand down on the ground and simply bend the right knee to the degree you need. And as we slowly, carefully unwind our way back to plank, Lower down to the mat. Okay, Cobra. Make it your biggest Cobra of the practice thus far. To that 80, maybe even towards the 90%. Arms as straight as they go, keeping the shoulders, head of the shoulder up and back. If it feels painful or too intense through the spine, go lower. You don't need to be at 90. Slowly roll out of it, press back to child's pose. And keep the extension of the arms forward in child's pose. That'll help give us just a slight rounding over. Breathe out. And then totally switch here to lie down onto your back. Soles of the feet on the mat, getting ready for a bridge pose variation. And I say variation here because I want us to keep not hands underneath, but like bookends. So we'll bend the elbows, robot arms, bookends, whatever we want to say. And you push the upper arm bones down into the mat so you get a good sensation, a foundation from the shoulders all the way to the elbows. Already a little lift of the chest. And then push into the feet to lift your hips up too. Bridge pose, look straight up to the sky. And we always want that push behind the head and into the shoulders so that the neck stays off of the ground. Keep the natural curves of the spine, and that is with a curve in the neck. That lumbar curve in the Lordic curve in the low back as well. And lower the hips down. Cross the right ankle over the left thigh. So a figure 4 shape. Point the right knee out to the side. As you pull the left knee in, try flexing your left foot straight up to the sky. Okay, you can curl the hands to hold under your thigh. Or try this. I think this one's hard, but you try to reach and hold onto your foot. And you certainly can bend the left knee. I've got my head and shoulders off of the mat to make all of that happen at the same time. There's some giving up to get here. So certainly if this is too complicated, too hard, it's not necessary. There are things in life we push and make complicated and hard, and it feels good at the end of the day. This pose is not one of them. Release it all out. Come back to all fours. To bridge pose with the soles of the feet on the ground. And then switch sides. Left heel, left ankle over the right thigh. Point the left knee out to the side. All right. So what I was trying to say is you pick your flavor here. Is it staying there? Pull the right leg in, thread the arms through, stay there. Straighten the right leg, have a little bend in the right knee. Maybe try to reach and hold on to your foot. If you don't know, I always laugh when I'm off balance or things are hard for me. So those little giggles indicate, whoo, this is a little uncomfortable. Okay, let's get out of there. Soles of the feet back down to the mat. And then open the arms out like goddess or goalpost hands. And lower both knees over to the right side. I'm doing a little more one-on-one instruction lately, both general physical training and in yoga. I started to notice sometimes I'll be like, oh, this one's going to be hard. And it's just like not hard. It's easy because their bodies work that way. When you're focused just one-on-one, it's a little easier to see those things. So ignore me if I'm putting things on you. Enjoy that we're all unique. Some things are harder, some things are easier. It's just body responding. Right heel over the left thigh, if not already here. And then set the right foot down. Lift the knees across the center. Let them fall over towards the second side. And take the left ankle on top of the outer right thigh. Left foot down, knees across the center, and pull the knees into your chest, hug tight. Okay, set the soles of the feet back down to the mat. Bridge pose again. You can choose those bookends arms. Or this time, as you lift up, hold on to the edge of your yoga mat. Or even interlace the hands underneath you. I'm hoping what we've done through upper back and shoulders makes that roll of the shoulders a little more doable for us right here in bridge pose. Roll the shoulders up and in towards the midline, kind of squish around side to side. Again, that notion of not wanting to stay still in the practice, having a little bit of blur, a little bit of movement constantly. Stay with your breath. Can you try this in bridge pose? Heel toe your feet off to the right side. Heel toe, like my feet are both off of the line of the mat. And a little twist. It's slow. Heel toe your feet back to the center. Keep the hips lifted. Don't let them dip down. And then go over to the second side. Heel toe, heel toe, heel toe. That notion of what we do at the very beginning of class in child's pose, walking the hands side to side. We did it with our feet. Walk the feet back to the center. Release the hands, lower the hips. Notice how you feel. Hug the knees back into the chest. Rock up to a seated position. Flip your way over to all fours. Slide the right knee for pigeon pose behind the right wrist. Heel towards the left hip. Walk the left leg back until you're ready to come down to the forearms. You're always welcome to stay a little more lifted. You're also welcome to go all the way forehead down to the mat if that's of benefit to you right now. To come out of this, roll onto your right side and take the left leg all the way around into the twist. So left foot across the right thigh. Now these days I'm always ending up where I can't get my left butt down with the right foot tucked in. So I'm just going to extend out. Keep it tucked in or extend it out and add the twist. Look over your left side. Okay, and then untwist. One more thing. Again, leg extended or tucked in. Try to make your left heel come closer to your outer right thigh and fold over. So it should spotlight just a little bit more into the outer hips. I think it's easier with the right leg out, but if it works for you, right heel can stay tucked in. We're going to come all the way out, extend both legs, give it a little bit of a shake, and then make our way to the second side for all of this, starting with pigeon. Left knee towards the left wrist, heel towards the right side. Walk the right leg back. Stay more upright or go down to the forearms, go down to the forehead. The left shin, the front shin, can be out as much as to a parallel line with the top of your yoga mat, sort of a 90-degree angle, if you will. Keeping the heel tucked in closer to that opposite hip. A little more doable, accessible for most of us. Okay, and then we'll find our way, fall onto the left side. Bring the right leg around, step on it. Get most of both sides of your butt onto the mat. Again, heel can stay tucked in or extend out for a little bit more room and ease, and add the twist. Okay, untwist. That holy cow pose. It's the cow face legs. But it's right heel now closer to the left hip, and you try to fold over. If you tend to be tighter along low back and hamstrings, that's where you're probably going to feel this. That's not a bad thing. If you tend to be a little more open along the low back and hamstrings, you might feel this a little more in the outer hips. Nicely done. Come on, back up. Stretch both legs out. Give it a little bit of a shake. Come to downward facing dog. So you're going to flip over again, back to down dog. And walk the hands backwards to the feet. Have one more bit of standing work here. Hands to the hips. Point the elbows up to the sky. Press down into the feet. And come on, upright. Pull the right knee up and into your chest. And then kick it back like flamingo. Try to hold on, right hand to the right ankle, left arm straight up to the sky. Stay straight up and down or a little bit forward for dancer pose. Come back upright. Release right hand from the right foot, kick it back up and forward. And then take the right leg out to the side. Hold on around the front of the shin or to your right foot and extend it out. Right knee back up and into the chest. And set both feet back down to the mat. Give it a little bit of a shake out. We'll do the second side. Left heel, left hand to the foot. Right arm straight up to the sky. Remember, we're trying to move, blur the lines with everything. Don't get too settled and worried about things here. Hinge a little forward. Try dancer pose, Natarajasana. So aptly named. When we see the dance, there is movement, energy, breath, beauty. And then change, left knee back up and into the chest. And grab hold of that leg anywhere, along the outside of the shin to pull it out to the side. If you want a little more extension, hold on to the foot. Big toe or pinky toe side, extend out. And then can the knee come back up? Release the hand. 2 arms down, 2 legs down, shake it out. Yogi squat. Take your feet about as wide as your mat. Toes turn out, heels turn in. Sit down with it. These days I'm learning to really blur those lines a little back and forth to get down into a squat that feels good. Keep the feet flat, but only as low as the feet can stay flat. Try to sit tall through the spine. Great squats. Come on down, extend the legs out. Fold over one more time, seated forward fold. Lie down onto your back. Take the arms out in a T shape. And take the legs as wide as your mat, so the heels maybe even hang off on each side of the mat. Take up space, in other words. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Blink your eyes open and close a couple of times. And then can you let go of that little bit of movement? Keep the eyes relaxed. Less movement in the hands, less movement in the feet. What do you notice? Do you need to move? Then move. Are you good here? Then stay. Stay here, stay present. Take it one breath at a time. Friends, when you are ready, move those fingers, toes again. Welcome back to a little bit of movement. Maybe a little twist from side to side. And then ever so slowly today, inch your way back to a seated position. In that seated position, keep the eyes closed, but take the fingertips back behind you and just a little extra lift of the chest, welcoming in the extra space, mobility, range of motion that we found through the practice today. Allowing that to stay in body and mind today. Bring the palms together, center of the chest. Per typical, we'll close in the sound of Om, this opportunity to acknowledge the passing of time from one moment to the next. Sing along, listen, tune it out. Empty out the breath. Deep breath in. Bow full gratitude to you, each other, this practice. Namaste.